Jaffa, or Jaffa in Hebrew, means beautiful city, the beauty of the seas, an ancient city. According to tradition, Japheth, the son of Noah, built the city and gave it this name.
מעל המסגדים עולה ירח, מעל ביתך עולים אורות נאון, ושוב שיחי יסמין נותנים פה ריח, ושוב אנחנו כאן מול השעון, ושוב ילדה מלמה ומדוע, ידיי בזרועותייך אוחזות, יש משהו מוזר ולא ידוע, יש משהו נפלא בעיר הזאת.
Jaffa, a city dating from before the flood, wrote the ancient historian Pliny. It was a pre-Canaanite city whose port played a vital part in ancient seafaring, as well as a way station for the Philistines, which in Roman times gave it the name Via Maris. In the Bible, Jaffa is first mentioned in the book of Joshua as a city on the border of the Israelite tribe of Dan. Later on, the city is mentioned as a port that received lumber from Tyre and Sidon, the cedars of Lebanon, for construction of the first temple, as the king of Tyre said to King Solomon, "And we will cut whatever timber you need from Lebanon and bring it to you on rafts by sea to Jaffa." From there the ships would sail to Tarshish, apparently Sardinia, an island belonging to today's Italy. Jaffa also appears in the story of the prophet Jonah, who refused to receive a mission from God and tried to escape to Tarshish by way of the port of Jaffa. But out at sea, the ship ran into a storm, and Jonah, who was found guilty of causing the storm, was thrown overboard and was swallowed by a great fish, where he remained for 3 days and 3 nights. The most ancient remains found by archaeological excavations of Jaffa date back roughly 4,000 years, to the days when the ancient kingdom of Egypt ruled over Canaan. It appears that in those ancient times, Jaffa was a well-fortified city. Archaeological finds testify to a brick wall and earthworks dating back to the 17th or 18th century BCE. Ancient Egyptian documents tell that the fortified city of Jaffa also served as one of the commercial import storage points for the Pharaoh of Egypt outside his own country. Around 1,000 years later, in the 8th century BCE, the kingdom of Assyria conquered Jaffa. During the Hellenistic period, the fate of Jaffa was similar to that of all of the land of Israel. It was passed from hand to hand. In the 2nd century BCE, Jaffa was included in the conquest of the Hasmoneans, and Judah the Maccabee even burned the city as a revenge for the killing of 200 Jewish residents of Jaffa. In the days of the Great Revolt, the Romans sank the Jewish fleet of Jaffa and destroyed the city, but after this they rebuilt it. The chain of soft limestone rocks that sit just off the coast of Jaffa appear in one of the Greek mythological stories, the story of Andromeda. According to the story, the beautiful Andromeda was chained to one of these rocks as a sacrificial offering for the sea monster. The lovely Andromeda was willing to sacrifice her life for the sake of her people, but she was saved in the end. The large rock is named for her, the Rock of Andromeda. Jaffa was not a port because it had a protected harbor, but because it had a shallow shore ringed with rocks which calmed the sea for the fishing boats belonging to the city's ancient residents. Small boats used the port, and it even acquired a name as a seaport, being visited by larger ships that couldn't actually approach the shore. To go to Jaffa Beach was an expression heard from the lips of Dutch and German sailors in the Middle Ages. It was an expression that meant going to the most dangerous place of its kind, from where the chances of returning safely were slim to none. On the day that the ship lowered its anchor in the port of Jaffa, it was said to me, Go up to the beach today in case a storm comes up in the night or in early morning, for then you will no longer be able to reach shore. When we reached the shore, we saw a strong storm moving in, and the ships collided with one another and were smashed to pieces. A great catastrophe such as this in a single day I have never witnessed with my own eyes. In Jaffa, the pilgrims took their first steps in the Holy Land. In the past, the city had belonged to the Christians and was known for its strength, but now it is totally destroyed. The port runs into the beach and creates a kind of shallow inlet that is not especially good. The pilgrims who arrived in the land of Israel at the end of the medieval period and onward reached the country by way of Jaffa's port, which was the most important seaport for the land of Israel in all time periods, and the closest port to Jerusalem. But even among the pilgrims, the euphoria and excitement at the sight of Jaffa gave way to bewilderment and frustration when they had to disembark from the ships, reaching the shore by small fishing boats that went bouncing over the pounding waves between the threatening rocks. Drawings and photographs by pilgrims from the 19th century, in which Jaffa is glimpsed from the direction of the port, the city appears in all its glory. It leaves the impression of a port city much larger than was really the case. In 1799, Napoleon marched into the land of Israel at the head of an army numbering 13,000 soldiers in a bid to control the east and eventually reach India. After conquering the southern coastal cities, where he encountered only a little opposition from the Turkish army, Napoleon, for whom Jaffa was important in order to renew seaward connections with Alexandria, laid siege to the city. Only after bitter battles did he finally conquer Jaffa. Napoleon himself wrote in his memoirs, "Everything bearing human resemblance fell victim to the slaughtering frenzy." At the beginning of the 19th century, renovations and building activities began in Jaffa to repair the severe damage caused in the city in the previous wars. The reconstruction began in the days of Mahmud Abu Navut, the Turkish ruler of Jaffa, in the years 1810 to 1820. He restored the city's ruins and also erected public buildings. In the second half of the 19th century, Christian residents arrived in Jaffa, among them Christians from Germany, who integrated into the craft trades, commerce, and industry in the city. The technological innovations of those days also reached the city. Jaffa was connected by telegraph line to Jerusalem, and a road was paved between the two cities. To the port was added a lighthouse and a pier, while the entrance to the port was widened as well. During the second half of the 19th century and until 1908, the Jews also returned to reside in the city, calling it Jaffa. By the end of that century, two Jewish neighborhoods had been established, Neve Tzaddik and Neve Shalom.
הים של יפו. קוראים לו גם הים התיכון. זה הים שהביא את הצלבנים, את הטורקים, את הרצל ואותי. ועכשיו שאנחנו פה ברוך השם יום יום, רוצים קצת לנוח, קצת לשבת בשקט. למה באנו עייפים מכל העולם?
בקסבה בחצי היום כשהשוק פתוח, הייתי ככה סתם הולך והחזה מתוח. כולם אומרים איזה קנון עובר בסמטאות, עושים שלום מכל חלון. כל הכבוד כולם היו יודעים אז טוב מאוד, למי יש יותר כבוד. כולם היו יודעים אז טוב מאוד, למי תמיד למי יש יותר כבוד.
For many years, Jaffa was famous for its orchards, many of which were planted next to the city wall and the surrounding area. Jaffa became a center for fruit orchard cultivation, as well as the main export point for citrus fruits. Thanks to the fertile soil, the abundant water, and the appropriate temperatures, the oranges made a name for themselves around the world. With the development of neighboring Tel Aviv and the rise in the value of property, the orchards steadily disappeared from the area. But in memory of those times, the oranges are still marketed today under the brand name Jaffa Oranges. In the 1960s, the municipality of Tel Aviv decided to restore Jaffa's old city. For this purpose, a joint company was established for the municipality and the government, named the Old Jaffa Development Company. An architectural plan was prepared that was destined to transform the place into an artist's quarter and a tourism center. In time, the planned area was to express the historical connection between the past and the present of the city by means of creating an attractive center for visitors. In the restoration work, the original character of the old city was preserved by the inclusion of its narrow alleys, the original archways, and the Mediterranean architectural style, using building details from Turkish, Egyptian, Syrian, and Italian influences. On top of the hill, over Tel Yafo, a large central garden park was established, and adjacent to it, a large public square was built, named Kikar Kidumim, Square of the Antiquities, in which were incorporated pieces from the archaeological digs that enable the visitor to sense the ancient layers of settlement in Jaffa. In spite of the tourist character of the place, the effort was made to ensure that it would become a center for artists of a high caliber. The art workshops, galleries and restaurants are scattered throughout the area, with sales shops on the first floor and artists' living quarters on the second floor. The alleyways are named after the 12 signs of the zodiac, and their symbols are fixed in artistically rendered ceramic plates. The Wishing Bridge, an ancient legend says that all who stand on the bridge, holding on to their astrological sign and gazing on the sea, will be granted their wish. Jaffa, a city of food. Jaffa, a city of music. Jaffa, a city of fun. Jaffa, a city that, like wine, improves and mellows with the years. A city thousands of years young, a city whose every alley has a love story from some other time that connects with a love story today. a city that attracts people from all over the world who come to experience an encounter with 5,000 years of history and with the best artists of today.